All right, let's go.
Jayden Button is making every day his masterpiece.
It's a grind.
His senior football season at Tri-County High has to be huge.
Coaches made sure that we're going to be lethal this season.
Especially after how his junior season went.
Tell me what you remember about September 20th, 2024.
Oh, man.
This is one of the longest running rivalries here in West Michigan, 57 years to be exact.
We were 3-0, they were 3-0. It's been a long time since Newaygo was 3-0. And it's been a long time since Tri-County and Newaygo were undefeated to play in that game.
Our Father, art in heaven.
It was big, and the moment was awesome. Like, you want your kids to have those moments.
Tri-County was down by 5 in the fourth quarter.
I remember tackling Newaygo's quarterback, taking a couple steps and just starting to fall, and I just hear muffled sounds.
I was the first one to Jayden, so I saw him collapse. He was face first onto the ground and wasn't moving, and he had foam coming out of his mouth, and his eyes were rolled back into his head. I thought he was dead.
Several people with medical backgrounds just happened to be there, including assistant coach and first responder Jack Thomas.
It's no more Newaygo versus Tri-County. It's just, we're all out here for the same goals to make sure this son and child or athlete, if somebody survives that moment.
A couple hours after hitting the hospital, I just started, opening my eyes, and I was in a hospital bed, seeing my family around me.
They came in and told him he'd not play again. We weren't expecting that he would.
And the kid's listening to all this stuff, and the tears are just coming down his face, and, we didn't want that being his end.
During his darkest days, Jayden had the support of his teammates.
I was with him every day at the hospital and everything, and so me and him have been best friends since he's moved here.
And he supported them the very next week from the sidelines. Then he learned about an abnormal tangle of blood vessels he'd likely had since birth, blocking blood from flowing normally.
It was an aneurysm that I've probably gained from hitting other players so hard. I needed surgery, and then they told us, there's a chance, there's a possibility you can get back out there. So yeah, that was the best feeling of my life right there.
Since that surgery, it's meant even more to make every day a masterpiece.
It's been amazing just seeing him come back, fully recover, seeing him out here playing ball and lifting and doing conditioning. It's just amazing to see him back.
Jayden is going to get his senior season a second chance.
He's taking advantage of that second chance, and he's living in the weight room, he's living on the track, he's running, he's living on the field. All those things, he's doing it the right way. But the story's not done. The story is, the good part of the story is still coming.
It's the last ride, so I'm going for every title I can get, every reward I can get. I'm trying to prove everybody wrong, prove that a comeback is possible.
And Matt joins us here now. Matt, this is, I think, the third time I've seen that story, and I still kind of get chills watching it because it's the whole situation is crazy and where he is now. And you wanted to chat a little bit about what that day was like, kind of from our perspective. I remember it clearly, and it was almost a year ago at this point.
Yeah, I think our viewers very so seldomly get a glimpse behind the scenes of all of our editorial decisions that we have to make on a daily basis. And usually with high school football, it's not that hard, right? You go out and you get the highlights and you come back and you put them on the air. Well, on this night, so just, again, to pull back the curtain, I produce 13 on your sidelines. Right. So I schedule the games, I coordinate all these things. And so on the night that happened, our photographer, Jeremy Ferris, was out covering the Newaygo Tri-County game. And it had been, I hope in that story, the hype of it all really shined through, because these are two small towns that I feel get very little love from the media in general. And so to see them both come into the game 3-0 versus 3-0, it was really special. And you could tell that the folks in both of those towns really appreciated the fact that we made them our game of the week. And then to have what happened to Jayden happen in the fourth quarter when it's a one-score game and just kind of suck the air. And I'll never forget, our photographer, Jeremy Ferris, calls me. I'm at another game, and he says, hey, we've got a problem here. There is a kid on the ground, and he's out. He's been out for, usually when injuries happen, the coaching staff and the trainers, they get him up in a few minutes.
Yeah,
and
take
the
him to
crowd,
the sideline or whatever.
claps and the game goes on. And, after about 10, 15 minutes, he said, this is different. And obviously Jeremy didn't know what was going on at the time, but they ended up suspending that game for the night. So you were anchoring that night. I called you and said, hey, can you get in touch with our news director and just, talk about how do we handle this? Obviously, 13 on your sidelines is a very positive, uplifting experience when you watch it. We have the cheerleaders in the studio. We bring the energy. And if, the first game, we have to tell our viewers that, hey, there's a kid that got carted off the field and he's in the hospital and we don't know how he is. That was a very rough thing to try and navigate for us as a station. And then it ended up our Elena Holland did the story, I think it was the following Wednesday.
Yeah, week after,
to let everybody know that, he's alive. He's we don't know what's wrong yet, but he's okay. He's in the hospital. He's responsive. And I covered Tri-County's game the very following Friday, which is the footage you saw there against Kent City, and I was amazed. I did not expect to see him on the sidelines there, and I went up and I shook his hand and I said, hey, we're glad you're okay. But from the moment I got that footage of him on the sidelines there, I just had a gut instinct. I said, this kid is a junior right now. He's going to come back. And I bet you he's going to have a senior season. So as soon as the school year ended, I called head coach Phil Butler, who you saw in the story there, and I said, hey, is there any chance you think Jayden would want to talk about it? As a matter of fact, I didn't know at that point whether he was cleared to play. So I asked, how's Jayden doing? He said he's 100% cleared to play. He's got 4 Division III college offers from Hope, Calvin, Alma, and Adrian. And they think that he might even get some looks from some Division II schools somewhere along the line. And I said, do you think Jayden would want to tell his story? And I am so grateful to Jayden because that day haunts him till this day. But I think he told the story. He's, like I said in our newscast, he's a man of faith. He believes that there is a higher power that helped him heal and had a plan for him. And I think he wanted other people to see this story because he knows that somewhere out there is someone going through a similar kind of adversity. Doesn't even have to be a health thing.
Right.
Whatever it is, he wants them to know to keep fighting. And so I just want to take this time, too, to thank Jayden for being vulnerable and being willing to go on camera and tell the story of that night. His grandparents were wonderful. And as you saw, it seems like everybody in the community loves him. Just a hardworking, good kid, a leader in the classroom, on the field, and everything. So this was a story 11 months in the making, and I am so happy that it has a happy ending. And like Coach Butler said, we haven't even got to the good part.
I know,
of the story
we haven't
yet.
even started yet. And something else, I know I'm kind of rewinding here for a second, that I think it's important for folks to know at home too is, the biggest, or one of the biggest concerns, besides, of course, Jayden's health and safety that night of what happened, was, we wanted to be as respectful as possible. We weren't planning that night to use, that footage that we have of what happened. Cameras are just kind of rolling or whatever. We were most concerned about, is he okay? And then making sure we were respecting privacy and, just handling the situation with grace for his sake and his family's sake. And that's why there was so much thought that went into, okay, how do we present this on 13 on Your Sidelines, which is this like rah-rah, time where it's so exciting and fun. So, that was definitely a challenge. Then to see it turn into such a, a beautiful story turnaround of just the incredible journey he's been on and his team and his family. And, now he's getting ready to play again. It's just, you hear the word aneurysm and you don't think this kind of an outcome.
Right.
And so, gosh, just an incredible story.
And I do want to say, too, since you brought that up, that shot of, him laying on the ground, you can't really see him, but you know what's going on, and everybody's huddled around him. That shot did not get used that night.
Yeah.
Jeremy got it, and if things had turned south for Jayden, obviously that footage would never have been used. Seen the light of day.
Yeah.
And we only feel comfortable using it now because we are telling the stories of, Mr. Rogers always said, look for the helpers. And there were so many helpers there that night, so many people, and you can see all of them surrounding him. And so, for Jayden, that footage might be traumatic to see, but I hope what comes out of it is that the viewers understand that there was a community of people who were ready to take care of him, just everyday folks. They did not go to a football game that night thinking that they were going to try to save somebody's life, but they were ready, and thank goodness.
Yeah, gosh, incredible story, Matt. We so appreciate it. If you'd like to watch it again, it'll of course be up on our website momentarily if it's not up already, and we can't wait to see him hit the field. And 13 on Your Sidelines 1 week from Thursday, correct?
That's right.
1 week
August
from Thursday.
28th. We got a packed slate already.
All right, Matt, thanks so much. Well, we are going to toss things